All right, just check the cameras.
Okay. Are you available?
You have your camera?
We'll connect them. Okay.
Try turning it off. Turn up plug.
Welcome to the 2024 CROA Board Candidate Forum. My name is Gary Hutzfeld, and this is Tuesday, January the 23rd. Before we start, I'd like to thank the candidates for their consideration and volunteering to serve the Celebration Residential Owners Association as prospective board members. I also thank you to the audience here in the room and online for your participation, and thank for management staff for their preparations for this event. And I thank the current board of directors for asking me to moderate this candidate forum. Voting will open next Monday, January 29th, and will close on Tuesday, February 27th at 5:30. Now, during this forum, please place your phone on silent or airplane mode.
Check.
We ask the audience to respectfully refrain from excessive exuberance for or against.
Does she know anybody in Illinois?
And what they were able to deliver.
Questions and responses as possible. The questions for tonight's forum were taken from previous candidate forums, inputs from the CROA committee chairpersons, and written questions submitted by the audience this evening. I'm going to call a stop question input at the break halfway through approximately. If you want to fill out a question, please place it in the box here and we'll look at them after the break. Thank you for your inputs. The CROA board and management were not involved in the selection of questions, and the candidates have not seen the questions. Candidates, your presence here constitutes your acceptance of the forum ground rules and the email invitation. Please refrain from personal attacks or name calling. So here's how the candidate forum will work. The field of 17 candidates, 14 of which are here tonight, is the largest in Celebration history. In order to conduct this candidate forum, a few modifications had to be made. In order to accommodate as many topics as possible in a single evening, not all candidates will be asked the same questions. much like the presidential primaries that you've seen on television. However, all will be given equal time to present their point of view. The moderator will ask the questions. Candidates to respond will be selected by the moderator based on an online random sequence generator. Candidates will have up to 90 seconds to respond. However, some questions will have short responses in a shorter time. I'll announce to you the time limit for each question. It's okay if you want to ask me to repeat the question. That is fine. Sometimes you kind of get lost after listening to the third and fourth person answering. Yellow signage by the timekeeper, please hold that up, will signal that your time has, you have 30 seconds to wrap up your comments. Keep an eye on this, gentleman. Red signage by the timekeeper will signal that your time has expired. Please stop at the red sign. Remember, not all candidates will respond to every question. So if you have something you want to say about a specific question and your name wasn't called, I ask that you make a few notes on your notepad and include those comments in your closing remarks. Candidates will have an additional opportunity to address their concerns at the candidate meet and greet to be held at Heritage Hall at 6 o'clock on Thursday, February the 8th. And you can meet the candidates in person and talk to them one-on-one. Tonight, a midpoint restroom break of about 5 minutes is planned. Please be mindful of the time limit so we can restart on time. So now it's time for opening statements. Each candidate will present an opening statement of up to 90 seconds. Please introduce yourself with first and last names for the audience who may not be able to see your nameplates at that distance. Opening statements will be presented alphabetically, starting on the left. When the previous candidate has finished and received the stop placard, the next candidate will introduce themselves and continue automatically. You don't have to wait for me to call your name. We will begin with Ernesto. Your time is now.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ernesto Glais, and I live in North Village. I love celebration, and after our Ring doorbell not being approved for many weeks, and hurricane debris not being cleaned, and other issues, I was advised, and a lot of neighbors came up to me and said, "You should run. You have the experience." I ran for the HOA in my previous community, or it's in Orange Tree, and Dr. Phillips. I was a director, vice president, and the secretary of that organization. And I really liked my time there, being able to hear people, address concerns between neighbors. During that time, I really got to know how to work with the community, work with the association, and be able to move forward, finding a win-win, if you would. That's what I would like to do, is volunteer to help you and help the board and help the community.
Hi, I'm Andrew Ganzik. I've been a resident since 2012. My wife and I lived in Georgetown before purchasing a home in East Village in 2014, where we started our family. We have two girls that attend Celebration K-8. For the past 3 years, we lived in Arlington Park, and last year adopted a rescue dog. Professionally, I'm a vice president of one of the largest banks with 15 years of experience in mortgage servicing. I have overseen more than 60,000 short sales, third-party foreclosure sales, and REO sales. My daily role includes overseeing third-party servicers and vendors, approving sale offers, negotiations with HOAs and government entities, as well as providing settlements on litigated matters. I'm running for the CROA board for two main reasons this year. The first is to do with the restoration and improvement of our current amenities, whether it's a playground in Spring Park or a roof in Heritage Hall, or a bathroom refresh in Lakeside. Amenities need to be maintained and improved. The second reason is the implementation of a master plan for celebration. that will last beyond a board of directors term. I expect the land next to town hall and the school to be acquired by Celebration CDD this year. Now is the opportunity to plan a community center in town hall that supports our partner programs and improves school traffic. Figuring out the solution for town hall is the first of 3 large projects for the master plan advisory group. I look forward to collaboration from homeowners and committees in building the future. Thank you.
My name is Carl Fury. I am a resident since 2006. I moved here from New York originally. Anyway, so I am currently sitting on the South Village Town Home Service Area Committee in town for our nice little service area here. I was called to this by roof litigation we had back due to jobs of previous administrations there. I currently also sit as the School Advisory Council Chair. I've been doing that since 2014. I originally started on there. This is my 12th school year there. I have 2 wonderful children, beautiful wife that has both actually, all children have gone here to the school, K8 at Hillsby High School. My reasons for running were very simple. We have with our current
Hold it for a second.
what time? You got 15 seconds.
15 seconds.
15 seconds. Gonna get a quick reboot here. So reasons why I came to run were bring accountability seemingly back to the board. We need to hold the folks who are in charge of our projects accountable for those. It seems like we have a lot of projects that have gone by the wayside. So in South Village, we have the
Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Olderness. First, I want to thank you for considering me as a candidate. I am a retired Air Force veteran. I have 30 years experience in program and logistics management. I think my time working for the government and in the military has prepared me well to be part of your board. I personally believe in fiscal responsibility. I want to see our resources wisely spent on the things that this town needs. I want to focus on some of the things I see our owners concerned about, maintenance and upkeep, but I don't want to lose that small town feel that Celebration has. I think that's what brings people here, and that's what brings our tourists here. So I don't want to see that go away. But I also want to focus on new amenities because I also think that's what attracts new buyers to our town, and that's important to keep our town vibrant. I think there's an importance in communication and transparency, and I think sometimes that's a little lacking with the current board. So I would like to give everyone in town a voice and make sure your voice is heard and your questions get answered. I think I would be a good asset on this board, again, with my military experience. And I hope that I get a chance to fulfill your requirements and get a chance to answer your questions and give this town what it needs.
My name's Bill Long. I'm an Artisan Park resident of my wife, Becky, and my daughter, Lynn, who is going to Celebration High School. We love Celebration. We love the atmosphere, and we plan on living here and retiring here. Currently employed at a national media company. I've been there 23 years, serving in various roles, primarily in technology, but also in general management of a business unit. And I've also served on 3 nonprofit boards, 2 of them being churches and 1 of them being an anti-human trafficking board. We all get started in my hometown of Richmond, Virginia. I've been an Artisan Park owner since 2017, but a resident since 2022. And we absolutely love the community. The big things I'm interested in is, as a board member, supporting the work of the subgroups that are put together to help answer questions for the board and give advice, and also to support the master plan committee group to really do a good long-term plan for the land use and the facility and amenities use here in Celebration. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tony Lopez. And first, I'd like to say thank you to the board that currently serves, because it's primarily a thankless job, as those who've been on boards know. Second, I'd like to wish luck to all those who are willing to run, and thank you for that willingness. And my condolences to those who will win in the election for this term. I've lived in Celebration for about 10 years. I own 2 homes. My daughter and my grandchildren live in one of them, and I live in the other. So this is home. This is where we want to retire. This is where I've chosen to retire. And so this is very personal, right? And it's important. We can all probably share the same ideas about what we want. What I would like to see us have is a revitalization of our community, a re-energizing of our community. We should be the coolest, safest place to live in the Orlando area. I think you would agree with me. We're probably not that today. Maybe 10 years ago, certainly 20 years ago. So that's what I think I would like to focus on. I've been blessed to have a very successful career. I ran large publicly traded companies at the president level, and I've served on many boards. So I know what the dynamics are like, and I think I can add something to it. So thank you for being here, and I look forward to answering your questions.
Hi, everybody. I'm Don McDonald, and I have 3.5 seconds for every year I've been here. Matter of fact, my kids went to school in this building. One of the reasons I'm running is this building. This building's been here since the beginning, and it should be top of our list. There are a lot of things that should be top of our list. New stuff should not be. New stuff should go to the bottom. I have massive amounts of experience, in fact, maybe too much. I've served 5 years on the CROA board, 1 year as president. I served 8 years on the CDD board. I was on the SAC board early on. I've been on board since the very beginning of this town, and I've been here since the beginning, and I adore this town. I love almost everything about it, but things can be better. They can be fixed, and we as a board need to concentrate on the repair, the maintenance, the improvement of our core assets in this community, and we need to, I've always been a big proponent of improving our communication. We need to communicate better in a mass media type way. And that's my background. I'm a talk show host, podcaster. Communication should be key. And I've got lots of other stuff, but I see the red sign coming, so I'm stopping. Thank you.
Yield back my time.
There you go.
Good night, everyone. My name is Marco Messa. I'm from Brazil. I live in Carlisle, so 3 Campus Street. My wife, Priscilla, is a cast member of Disney, now working in the guest relations. I have 2 kids in the high school, Antonio and Mariana, 14 and 17 years old. Thank you for having me. It's an honor. Look, surround me with so awesome people. They put me beside you.
It was alphabetical.
Yes, I know. So I'm running for the CROA because I love to serve. People who know me knows how I love to serve. And I've been helping the Parks and Rec for 2 terms right now, the Master Plan Advisory Group. So it's been a blast to be here. Celebration the place that my kids grows. My wife, my family, we're buying properties here, one more for my dad when they come to the United States. So I am not touring Brazil. Thank you. I have 11 specializations and English is my 10th language, so I'm sorry about any spell words. And South America is a great place to work or help people and humanity. And I want to bring this to the United States, and I was very successful on that. And Celebration just embraced me.
Thank you. Eric, give me a second.
You got it.
So you don't have to listen to me twice. We do have 2 candidates that weren't able to be here tonight for scheduling conflicts, but we did allow them to submit an opening statement, and I'd like to read one of them now before we finish up. This is from candidate Bryant Coots. So these are his words. I apologize for my absence from the candidate forum. I'm traveling for work. However, I am very committed to representing our community and I hold each of the candidates here tonight in high regard because this is a major commitment that should not be entered into lightly. Joining this organization will be a great undertaking, and I am sure that the people chosen from this great group will work hard to make a difference for Celebration. I have been in nursing for over 2 decades, and I have served in leadership roles in hospital administration for most of my tenure. I have worked with multi-million-dollar budgets, devised large-scale building projects, and have represented communities as president of a residential community board. I am very analytical in my day-to-day life, managing complete chaos in a high-pressure environment. I'm committed to using sound judgment when making decisions on behalf of the citizens of Celebration. I love our community, and I want Celebration to be a place everyone, including homeowners, renters, commercial clients, and staff, to always feel proud to be a part of. Lastly, thank you for giving me this opportunity, and I hope to have your vote to join this very important board. I will not let you down and will be a strong advocate for our community over the next 3 years. Sincerely, Bryant Kuntz.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Eric Opegard. I live over in Artisan Park with my wife and 2 grade school kids. One's in kindergarten and one's in 3rd grade. Those that have been around here for a while, I did previously serve on the board. I actually served termed out at my consecutive terms in 2018. And I did kind of step back from public life at that time. A lot of people have said, "We thought you moved. Where'd you go?" The main reason is that coincides with the birth of my 2nd son. And so took a step back, focused on family life during that time. But really seeing some of the things that are going on in the community with, as it relates, as other people have mentioned, in regards to maintenance, as well as fiscal responsibility that we have and the responsibility that we have to the residents, I started to get a little bit on edge, and I wasn't really happy with the way that some of those things were going. I have a firm belief, it's the reason why I originally ran for CROA, and it's why I'm running for now, that you don't have a right to complain unless you're willing to do something about it. And so that's why I'm sitting here. I want to be able to do something about it. And I think that this is very exciting for me. We have a lot of capable people that are running this year. I threw my name in the hat. Want to make sure that I can bring a little bit of the historical expertise, but then also I'm here. I'm not going anywhere, and I really hope that people get to know me a little bit better that haven't met me before. But then also I get to meet some of you as well and hear some of the concerns from the community that I may not have thought of as well. So thank you for having me this evening.
Jim Fennell here. Those of you who have been at board meetings over the last year and a half know that I've represented the Island Village residents. I did that because I saw the dysfunction between Mattamy, CROA, and CCDD, lack of communication and coordination with the Island Village development. Because of that, that spurred me on to join the Finance Committee, which I've been able to work on the 24 budget and also changing our investment strategy to where we could get interest income. From there, I decided to join the Master Planning Advisory Group. And I'm very proud to be on that. I got to tour all the amenities at Celebration, and that was very disappointing to see the status and state of all the amenities, with the exception of Island Village, which is brand new, which should be the new standard for all the places in Celebration. Everything should be upgraded to that standard. This building is another reason. If we had a contractor come in every 3 to 5 years and fix rust and leaks, I don't think we'd be facing $1.5 to $2 million in 2014 to fix this building. I started representing the residents of Island Village. I would love the opportunity to represent all the residents in the Celebration.
Thank you all for being here tonight. I know we're all grateful for this opportunity. My name is Katie Schultman, and this past year I sent an email to the board asking some questions. When those questions went unanswered, I decided to do my own research. And those that you have already know me know that did not stop there. The research led me to uncover some opportunities for greater accountability and clear communication. This has been my focus as a resident, and I'm committed to bringing both greater accountability and clear communication to the association so these past mistakes are not repeated. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Cindy Swisher, and I am the current president of the Homeowners Association. Many of you know me only from what you read on social media or hear from others, so I'd like to start with telling you a little bit about my life before CROA. My career was in banking. I spent 28 years at the same bank, working my way up from receptionist in the consumer loan department to an assistant vice president and banking center manager. After I moved to Celebration, I applied for a job at the management company and was hired to file and make copies. When I left 8 years later, I was executive assistant to the executive director. During my tenure, I was exposed to every facet of HOA operations. When I ran for the board 3 years ago, I considered myself to be very qualified. Apparently, many of you agreed, which is how I got to be here. However, nothing could have prepared me for what I've experienced during this term. Being elected to this board is an honor, but it is definitely not for the faint of heart. Sitting on this board automatically opens you up for criticism, both constructive and negative. To be clear, anyone who knows me will tell you that I am not a dictator, power hungry, vindictive, or a liar, nor do I make uneducated and ill-informed recommendations or decisions. I wouldn't have gotten this far in my career if that was the case. What I have done and what I will continue to do if reelected is work with the new board to course correct and return to operating with mutual respect, humility, and civility. Collaboration and willingness to compromise rather than intentional divisiveness are key to achieving our collective goals. There's much to do. Whether I'm elected or not, I'm hoping with this new board, we can come together as one voice and start getting things done. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Diana Vasello, and I have been in Celebration for over 15 years with my husband, Steve, and my wonderful daughter, Emily, who is a freshman at the Ohio State University and is experiencing snow for the very first time. So I get lots of comments about that. I've been 13 years as a homeowner in South Village. We live on Croton Place. I first became a volunteer with CROA when we got our first covenants letter that said, here's the list of things you have to fix that your realtor told you you didn't have to when you bought the house. So that was my first experience, and I volunteered on CROA. And then I have also served on the board for 2 terms. And I was also president of the board in 2021. I am a Girl Scout. I was a Girl Scout leader up until my daughter graduated from high school. So many years of public service. I have a BS in business from Indiana University, and I have 30 years of both operational management as well as property management experience. I did resign from the board in my last term to seek a property management position as executive director, which did not happen, but I felt it avoided any conflict of interest by resigning from the board at that moment. Why now? I want to see progress. I want our amenities upgraded so we look like the level of community that Celebration is. We want a better resident experience. We want a professional board. And I move to Sarah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Work, and I live in Island Village with my 6-year-old son who is at basketball practice, but usually sitting in the back of the room at the meetings. I'm in Celebration. I literally fought to live in Celebration, Florida. I was living in Singapore and I repatriated to the US, and I could choose anywhere on this planet to live. I am originally from Ohio. I love Ohio, but the weather wasn't what I appreciated anymore. So I chose Celebration, Florida. I literally fought to be here. My parents are third world, and he taught me that mediocrity is nothing to be proud of. And when I chose Celebration, I chose the dream of Celebration. I saw what I saw in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, and I loved it. I loved the charter. And I think we can all work together to make sure that we aren't mediocre, that we aren't falling by the wayside, that we hold our people accountable, that we are fiscally responsible to make a better Celebration.
I have one more statement for a candidate that could not make it for a scheduling problem. This is from Wagner Wellendy. His words, please find me. I am Wagner Wellendy, a passionate advocate ready to lead our homeowners association. With a background in program and vendor management, I bring expertise in contract, scope, and budget management. As a board director, my goal is to enhance our internal processes and decision-making. Effective plans and meticulous vendor deployment monitoring are crucial for a seamlessly functioning community. I am committed to due diligence, ensuring we safeguard our interests with trust and transparency. Recognizing our community's 20-year history, Let's prioritize quality maintenance, moving away from short-term fixes, embracing long-term plans and prioritizing excellence over expediency. In my vision, responsible governance leads to sustainability and health choices. Picture a place with community gardens, promoting the real value of plant-based foods, sustainable energy solutions, spaces for exercise and social interactions. By prioritizing quality maintenance, responsible governance, and a healthy lifestyle, we can surpass expectations. Let's build a community that mirrors our aspirations, a true beacon of unity, resilience, and holistic well-being. Thank you for considering my candidacy. I'm eager to collaborate on these transformative ideas, making Celebration a place where we not only live, but thrive. Warm regards, Ragnar Wellington. Well, now it's time for questions. I explained that process at the beginning. And I'll read the first question and the response, the candidates to respond for each question based on this random generator. Question number 1. What are the top issues affecting Celebration and how should these be addressed? The first response comes from James Pinot.
I think the number one thing is this building to be fixed. Sorry. Yeah, first thing I think is this building's got to get fixed. Being on the master planning advisory group, we are working through a lot of these different things, and I'm proud to be with a group of really talented people. But until we know the true cost to either fix this or replace it, it's hard to come up with anything else. So to me, that is number one. Number two are, again, the amenities that need to be fixed and improved. And number three is, I would agree with communication needs to be improved.
Right. The same question is now given to Don McDonald.
Ditto. This building is, I'm shocked, truly shocked that this building has remained in this state of repair for as long as it has. I am speechless that we don't even know what it's going to cost. How can we not know what it's going to cost? Because we can't do a darn thing until we know that. This is our priority. Not one new thing, in my opinion, should happen. Not one until this building is addressed. I mean, no replacing pickup trucks, and we've got that in the budget coming up. I mean, nothing until we know what this building's going to cost, whether we fix it or tear it down and build a new community center. We have to know that. Other amenities must be repaired as needed, but this, to me, must absolutely be the priority. It is a literal embarrassment. I don't know what is wrong and why we can't fix it, but that will be my number one priority if I'm elected to this new board for another term. Thank you all.
Next response is from Andrew Duganzik.
I'm going to disagree with the statement so far. This building does need to be fixed, but that is a long-term solution that should have cooperation from the Master Plan Advisory Group and potentially the CCDD if they get the land next to us. I think it's going to cost anywhere from 1.8 to 2.2 million to put this back into a retroactive 1997 condition. That's not an option. The true top priority is Spring Park and the playgrounds, getting those open for the children in town, and getting the eyesore of orange tape when you drive down the street. The parks, the pools, the playgrounds, that's top priority of the amenities that need to be taken care of and brought into condition that we can all be proud of and we can actually use. Thank you.
Our next response is from Diana Veloso.
Thank you. The top issues, I believe, right now are our aging amenities that haven't been addressed because there isn't a clear plan on what we expect and where those where the repairs and the reserve studies need to be in place. I feel like there's a the board has been paralyzed in movement forward, and the new board, the new seated board, will need to move quickly and thoroughly in making sure that amenities are addressed and upgraded as needed. I also think communication has improved with the board, and we've moved forward with electronic communication, and it is much better than it was in the past, but there is still room for improvement. And we also can't forget about security in our community. I think we need to address security as an issue for all of our residents.
Next response is from Katie Schultzman.
Thank you. The top three issues that I see right now, number one, amenities in general need more attention, and I believe the Master Plan Advisory Group is in place, and they will handle that appropriately based on the research that they're doing and gaining community input. Secondly, I think accountability is a major issue that we're facing with the association. We need more oversight by the board to make sure vendor contracts are being appropriately monitored and that their vendors are being held to their contracts. And third is communication, I believe is a big issue. One of the things that I would do as a board member in the first 60 days on the board, I would call for a workshop to deal with the communication guidelines or policies by the board, collaborate together to figure out and define channels, frequency, and responsibility of how the board will communicate with the residents. To build back some trust with the residents, I feel like accountability and transparency through communication will do that. Thank you.
Next response for this question will be from Sarah Work.
I think what brought me to this table is the focus on listening. We need to listen to the community. We can't listen to necessarily the loudest. We can't necessarily listen to the longest. We can't necessarily listen to the richest. We can't necessarily listen to the certain age demographic. We need to listen, and the data that is consumed needs to be addressed. A while back, that online petition, signatures were gathered. That data matters. People have a voice. People have a vision. We need to collect it. Now, will everyone be happy? No, they won't. But they need to be heard because there are novel ideas in the community in terms of what should be prioritized and should be not. I personally get asked every day when that park is going to open up in Spring Park, when that playground is going to open up. So I think we need to listen to the community. We can gather that data. I think we need to focus on fiscal responsibility and prudent spending. When I hear expenditures go through with round numbers, my skin literally crawls. I've never really seen a bill with round numbers. Immediately, I want to see it itemized. And accountability. I have a career that I did prior to being retired where I focus on governance, risk, and compliance solutions for a large multinational company. And I've seen smurfing where they put little expenses together and they don't go over the threshold, so they don't require approval. I've seen different little things done with vendors. I think that we need a strong system to see where exactly our money's going. And I even thought about having like a fundraiser type thing with everything that passes, how high the threshold goes until we ring the gong. Have we spent enough money yet? So we need to look at the amenities.
Our next question is from Bill Long.
Everything that's been mentioned is critical to the future of our community. And it's pretty simple. You've got to have buildings that work, amenities that work. And I think we need to start with not only the Master Plan Advisory Group, and it's great to get the advice, but it's another thing to implement that advice. And so I would be fully supporting that plan. Now, when I've done a little bit of research, we've had a number of advisory groups for a master plan for celebration. We need to be the board that helps push that forward into implementation. That'll help with attracting new people. That'll help our property values. The other thing I would say is a good relationship with the other entities in celebration. CCDD is a vital part of what we do here. And the relationship between CROA and CCDD should be better, could be better. There's going to be a lot of places where there's going to need to be involvement across these different agencies. I would also say security has been something that's been brought up. We all know about the incidents with the parks being vandalized. We need to work on our relationship with the Osceola County Sheriff. Apparently it's an election year, so we might have a new sheriff to work with. But I think as a board, as a community, we need to work across the lines of communication to help build a better community.
All right, candidates, it's time for a change up so we won't get bored. This next question is a short answer You'll have 30 seconds for each of you to answer. And yes, it's for everyone. We'll start on the left and go around the room. Here's the question. How active have you been as a volunteer or a resident with regards to community events, CROA committees, and attendance at committee and board meetings?
Have not been very active. This is the first time that I've become involved with it. I'm running because I do have the experience. I've done this. A lot of us are running because we want to see change, accountability. We want to push things through and experience doing that. So this is the first time I'm getting involved with celebration. But again, I have years of experience doing this.
My experience would be that last year I started the change.org petition to try to stop the Lot D project. And when that was rejected by the board, I co-led the referendum efforts of collecting signatures, social media, everything regarding that program to get it out to the community and have your voices heard. Throughout the rest of the year, I participated in board of director meetings and workshops. I spoke with different members on committees, finance committee, and others. And then most recently, I
have been to many meetings. I am currently sitting as the chair for the South Village Town Home Service Area Committee. Beyond that, attending the meetings has led me to here today.
I would have to say I'm probably not as active as I should be. The extent of my activity over the last couple of years has probably been the most active I've been, attending board meetings, engaging with my service area folks, trying to get things done around the area where we live. But yeah, probably not as active as I should be. I should be attending more meetings and being on more volunteering within the committee, within the town. So, life gets in the way of my best nature.
I recently joined the CROA Technology Committee, been helping Jose and team with getting the website into a good state. Been working with members of the committee to talk about different issues that are coming before the community, things like EV chargers, camera systems, things like that. And, all the fun amenities like food truck Fridays and the yard sale and all those things. So yes, involved. Definitely want to do more. And I've attended a number of the board meetings recently.
I guess I would consider myself an informed, educated, interested owner resident. Somebody who has stayed in tune with what's going on and keep your finger on the pulse of what's going on, and who, like many of you, have come to be somewhat disillusioned with what's going on. And so I'm moving from being just an interested and educated party to being an active problem solver and service to the community. So not as active as I wanted to be, but certainly have been, like you, keeping track of what's going on.
I need extra time. Between my wife and I, we've probably served about 40 years on celebration boards. I served 13 years on CROA and CDD. I served 2 years on SAC. I've been on committees. I've been to multiple meetings. I've been involved in a local theater group. I was on the board of that theater group. I've been in plays. I've participated in so many things in town, lots of events. I have an incredible knowledge of how this town works and have worked with most of the boards and governmental agencies, including the county.
Again, after you.
I'm sorry.
I've been involved in celebration even before I bought my first property here in 2016. I believe I started serving the rec leagues in 2014 and make kids proud to be in sport like basketball, soccer, flag football. And like I said in the beginning, when the celebration embraced me and gave me the opportunity to show that I can do better, I started running for the Carlisle board, and I also run the celebration soccer.
Don't dismiss those things, Marco. Those things are all very important. I've been around for a little while, yes. I did take a pause after 2018 from more of the public-facing in-meeting life. I've been fortunate enough that we have continued to progress on and Our meetings are available online and things are posted on our website. So you're able to review those as needed. You might have seen me once I started to try to want to get involved back with running for the board again, that you saw me in some random meetings. I think I made some of the committees a little apprehensive about why was this random resident staying in the background. But that was me. But I think the biggest thing is that I do want to be here and I want to serve again.
I think I've already answered this, being at all the board meetings for Island Village and on the finance and master planning committees. I'm very honored, again, to be working with a lot of talented people on those committees. And one of the reasons I'm running is because I went to so many board meetings and I complained when I got home. My wife told me I had to.
You should thank us.
I moved here in 2010 and have attended many resident events. Most of my volunteer experience has been through our parish, Corpus Christi. However, this past year, when I wrote the email with all those questions, I decided to attend every board meeting, every workshop, and every joint CROA workshop in person in order to get answers, not just for myself, but for a lot of the residents that too have questions and that were unable to, make the time to attend those meetings. I feel it's important that everyone has a voice. Thank you.
Okay. Advisory Committee for Thriving in Place, volunteer for the Celebration Foundation, Corpus Christi Reader, Parks and Rec Special Events Committee, Pie Festival, board meetings. I attended every single one of them when I worked here, including Canoa, CJC, and CCS. I'm the treasurer of the community chorus, and I was also with Don in the Celebration Community Theater Group. There you go. Talk fast.
Okay, I've been on the Covenants Committee. I've been on the board for a total of 5 years. Currently helping to reestablish the Celebration Women's Club. Been a Girl Scout leader for 8 years in the community. Our family attends most events in the community, and I find myself being the source of information for many of my friends and neighbors as to what's going on in CROA and the community. Also volunteered for the Pie Festival and the Celebration Marathon. And when I was on the board, I was liaison to the Celebration Joint Committee, the CJC.
Okay, so I threw my name in the hat for the Master Plan Advisory Group, did not get selected, but have been wanting to participate in that. And so I told Lauren to go ahead and keep me in the running in case anything happens. I am a Cub Scout leader. I have a son who is very, very active in the community. We're talking Little League, soccer over there with Marco, jiu-jitsu, Celebration flag football, golf on Wednesdays. I'm also a volunteer for the Mother-Son Dance Planning Committee. We're putting that together February for anyone who's interested. I also play tennis.
We're back to the general questions. The respondents will be selected by an online random sequence generator. Here's the question. Do you feel the board's communication with the community is adequate? If so, which medium do you think is most effective? If not, what could be done better? Our first response is from Carl Fiore. Here.
Sure.
Do you feel the board's communication with the community is adequate? If so, which medium do you think is most effective? If not, what could be done better?
I think the board's communication, again, as you said, has gotten better over time. We were at a point where there was a dark age where you knew nothing. We've gotten definitely away from that. The mediums that I feel are working are usual. It's the email blasts. It's the especially the YouTube videos now. I think that the meetings have gone out that allow everyone to review things over again. Could we have maybe a better response on when they get there? Sure. But, again, everything, there's always room for improvement. Nothing is perfect.
I failed to mention these are 90 seconds that you have available. Our next response comes from Anthony Lopez.
90 seconds for a Latino, that's not a lot of time. Do I feel the communications from the board are adequate? No. And short answer is no. And I really want to use my time to go back to the first question I didn't get the answer, which is what I think is important. But what medium should we be using? There's lots we could be doing, and I'm sure there'll be lots we can do in today's environment with communication being pretty easy to get to people. But what we should not be using is non-sanctioned vehicles. where people are able to put whatever they want, which is based on bias and opinions and not data. So whatever we do as a board, we should make sure it's being done in a sanctioned way with data-driven information that's been vetted by the board and appropriately communicated in meetings. The question I was asked before, which is very important, is what needs to happen, or what are the top 3 things we should work on? I can tell you that I don't know, but I know this, that first thing the board should do is have a master plan, which I've heard about a lot, but it should be an aligned, well thought through, budgeted, and approved plan. And then we should learn to change the tires while the car is moving at 60 miles an hour. We can do all the things about what the buildings need to be done and beautification and safety and working with the Osceola County and all the other things. But we got to learn to chew and walk at the same time. And if we can do that, I'm sure we can capture it. But it won't work unless we have an aligned and approved and well thought through plan. And I think that's the first priority. I know what it is because I haven't been on the board to know what all data they've been looking at. So the first thing I like to do is look at data.
Our next response comes from the Nurseville Albalis.
Well, I was going to write down no on this paper and show it like this. A little bit too much theatrics. No, I don't think the communication is great. As I said, I got involved because as soon as we moved here, we wanted to get a camera doorbell installed, and it took, I'm going to say, about 18 weeks to hear something back. And they did not get back to us. Didn't get any communication. What sort of communication should we use? All. I think we should be on every platform that we can, written, recorded. We should do it virtually. We should do it at a time that people can actually attend, not at 4 o'clock on a Wednesday for certain board meetings or for different groups. It should be so that you are able to catch up if you can't make it that day, and that you have access to us so that it's transparent and that we're able to make changes. We're able to make changes to the schedule as they come up, that literally every platform should be used so that you're informed and we're. That's what I feel.
Our next response is from Marco Messina.
To talk about communication, it's very effective. It's improved a lot when we have in the past here till now. It's way better these days than the past. So if you don't have the answer, you can call, send an email, come here to the town hall. They always have the answer. It's very easy to work with the town hall when we need and wants the communication. So for me, it's working very better, much better than the past. For my neighbor as well, so I don't have in my group and my friends problem with communication in town hall. Thank you.
Next response is from Cindy Swisher.
Do I think we communicate enough? I agree with most of you there. It's gotten much better. How effective is it? You know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. We have our websites. We have the Monday Matters. We have the Friday Flash. We have random notices that go out, and I don't really follow social media, but every once in a while you see a question like, hey, are there any fireworks this year? You know, it's like, where you been? You know, it's been in this is in the magazine. But I agree, we need to just keep pushing it out there. There's training that probably should be done within the community. I think Lauren and her staff are working on that. I think that's one of their goals, on how covenants works, how ARC works, who's responsible for what. That needs to be communicated, but that's a lot of information. And again, you know, you can put it out there, but who's going to show up? You know, who's going to actually absorb that information? You know, I don't know what the answer is, but you know, hey, if anybody's got any great ideas, I'm all for it.
Our next response is from Mark Holderness.
I think the short answer, echo what Tony said. It's gotten better, but no, the communication is not as good as it could be. As to what would work, everything. don't hesitate to put it out there. Every platform available to you is what we should be using. We have the Fly to Flash, Money Matters, Facebook, Twitter, if we want to do that. Whatever works, get it out there, get it out there. But I also agree with Marco, it needs to be vetted. It needs to be one voice from the board. You can't have 7 board members putting out 7 opinions. But I also agree with Cindy. It's you can put it out there. You can't make them read it. So when people say they don't hear from the board, well, maybe it's out there. You're just not looking. So it could be better. And I think we should use any means available that we can.
Our next response is from Eric Koppergard.
So for those who've been around, communication is always the topic that comes up. We always say we're not doing it well enough, and we always say that it's getting better. I think the question, in my opinion, needs to be a little bit rephrased into, is it communication or customer service? And I think those are two things that go hand in hand. And I think in a lot of cases, we are trying to communicate in those things. I'm like Tony, I'm a data guy. I want to be able to look and see what channels we're using and see if they're successful or not. But then also understand, is the person on the other end that's receiving that message getting what they need out of the message? Simply posting board meeting minutes doesn't really help someone that doesn't have time to read through all of the board meeting minutes. Is it better to post a summary of that using something like generative AI to come up and give us the top 5 highlights of what was discussed at this meeting? That's a quick win to be able to do stuff like that. I think the biggest thing is looking at how people want to be communicated with and picking those channels that we can end up actively managing. I agree that it's great that if we want to push everything out on every channel possible, but we also have a finite amount of staff available in management to be able to manage those channels. So we need to pick which ones that we see are successful, that the community sees that are receptive, and stick to those. And make sure that we're constantly seeing, is there something new that we need to change? And is that customer service that we're trying to look for through that communication being successful with that method?
A new question, and you have 90 seconds for this response. Do you feel community events are important to the residents of Celebration? What improvements can be made for greater resident and family involvement? And our first response comes from Bill Long.
There are plenty of opportunities to get involved in Celebration. There are events that are happening every other week, every month. There is a lot to do in this town. I'd like to jump back for just a second. When we talk about communication, there's a reason the Celebration Back Porch group on Facebook has 7,500 members, because social media does work. And it is just one channel. We should always be looking for better communication outlets, including having a standing communication committee for CROA that meets at least every month. In the world of the internet, which is probably the primary way the information is going to be dispersed to the community, whether it's through the website, whether it's through social media, whether it's through YouTube, you need a team that is crafting and publishing that communication. And I agree, Eric. AI summaries of the top 5 things that happened at a board meeting is a great way to start. And when people want to dig deeper, they can go deeper. I've read some of the board packets. They're 163 pages long. That's a commitment to read all that and to digest all that. But one of the best things to do is be here in person and hear the discussion. And good communication for this community begins with this board and the people that are on this board, not only communicating with the community, but communicating with each other with civility, decency, and respect.
Our next response comes from Ernesto Abeles.
Well, again, I was going to write yes. I think it's extremely important. One of the first times, I didn't bring it up earlier, but one of the first times my son, he also attends Celebration. And one of the first times we went to the fake snow coming out, skiing, it was, and being on the tube, it was great. It was a lot of fun. Lots of good pictures. I was able to send to my family. And my wife, we attended Hike Fest, the Food Truck Friday, it's all great. And I think that that's important. Not only somebody said earlier about prices, but also just for the community itself. Not a lot of us know each other. And when we're talking about communication, it should be available to you, whether you decide to read it, that's on you, right? But if you want communication, if you want the information, then it should be there available to you, whatever medium that you want. But yes, I do think that the community events are very important. How do we improve on them? We want the sheriff department to be more involved. Invite them, have them attend for free the Pipe Fest or any other event, things like that. Getting people involved, getting people to care about the events is most important. If you have people volunteering, then that changes everything.
Same question. I know it sounds like this is getting repetitive, but I guarantee it's a random sequence generator. Each of you are going to answer the same number of questions. So the next response comes from Eric Oppenheimer.
Could you repeat the question for me, Gary?
Sure. Do you feel community events are important to the residents of Celebration? What improvements can be made for greater resident and family involvement?
Yeah, so I think community events are what a community is, right? It's why a lot of people move here, is because a lot of the great amenities that we have are able to host some of those events that we want to be able to have. It's where we meet neighbors. It's where we meet different people to be able to network with other folks in the community. I know it's where like my kids like to meet folks. I think community events, even at a playground, are very important to be able to foster those relationships. I think the biggest thing for me is understanding, when we look at the community activities that we have, understanding, do we have the right mix of activities for the demographics that we have within the community? Once again, using data to look at that, to understand, are we hitting everyone that we need to? But then also understanding, do we need to look long-term to understand, do we have the amenity to support the type of activities that we want to be hosting within our community? And that might mean that we don't have something available to us now, that we need to think long-term. Do we need more indoor recreation space, for example? Do we need something that's maybe a little bit different that we don't necessarily have in the community that will require some planning? And that's where we can either plan, partner with either agencies within the community, or we might need to look outside the community as well, and weigh the pros and cons of doing that, because each blessing with there also may come with something else that we need to consider both as a community and as a board.
Our next response comes from Cindy Swisher.
We have great special events, I have to say. And since Grand Manners has been here a little bit before that, we've kind of started expanding our horizons. We've had events, different kinds of events. We had a charcuterie thing recently I wasn't able to go to. I think there's a mentalist coming up, and maybe I missed it. But I mean, there's lots of good and different things. What I would like to see, years ago, and Don, I'm sure you remember, we used to have like war games between the villages. Something that would, force you to meet your neighbors.
They
You
didn't
can
hurt
go-
each other.
Yes, exactly.
No, they didn't hurt each other.
Oh, well, either way it works. But to force people to get to know their neighbors, the lights and lemonade that used to be, things like that, I think would be very beneficial to the community, to meet people, and get more people involved. And of course, you'd have to kind of stagger the age groups for the activities and things like that, or even a town kickball league, and a team from each village, or something like that, where you could, have people come out and cheer for their village and really bring the community together. That's what I'd like to see more. But I think that the Special Events Committee and Parks and Recreation are doing a bang-up job. Thank you.
It's time for a new question. You have 90 seconds for this response. The CROA board has 7 members. All votes may not be unanimous. Explain how you would handle a situation you felt strongly about, but the majority of the board voted differently than you. Our first response comes from Katie Schultman.
I've had a lot of experience with this past year. I understand though, if the board votes and you are in the minority, you know, that's the way it goes. What I would like to do before the vote is to make sure that all the board members have the accurate information from the committees, management recommendation, and collaborate together on any additional research that board members done to hopefully make us all understand what the best option is, and all of us do our due diligence together.
Our second response comes from Marco Lucino.
If we have all the same information, I vote for the community. What is better for the community? It's a very easy answer. What is the best for the community? I go straight for that.
Our next response comes from Andrew.
I think the first thing we would need to do is make sure we truly understand what the issue is and what the solution is. And if 4 or 5 think that we should proceed, but 2 don't, then we really need to discuss why we can't all get on the same board. Is there something more we can do? Is there something we can tweak within that option to get us all on the same page? Now, I guess the main thing would be, is it in the best interest of the community and the homeowners together? And again, that is truly the issue that we're trying to represent the homeowners, then we should all be on the same side and understand exactly what we should be approving together. You know, dissent and argument is a bad thing. I view the first solution usually is not the best. There's opportunity for further discussion, understanding viewpoints, understanding where people are coming from, and then maybe tweak the plan so that it works best and we all can get on the same page. But in the event that we all can't agree to a certain action, I think it's that we're respectful of where everyone's coming from and that we do make a decisive decision, regardless of whether we're all in agreement or not.
Our next response comes from James Pinot.
As I put in my write-up, I participated in over 70 corporate board meetings in my career. Compromise and respect are the basis of which you should have on board, in my view. So even if you're in the minority, you could still talk to each other and try and compromise a little bit here and there. That way you could get that best result for the resident. Second thing I just want to talk about on the previous question, I can do, right? Because of lack of communication, I negotiated with the board to get 3 free meet and greets in Island Village. Those were some of the best functions I've seen here. And because of that, if I'm on the board, I would like to propose that every neighborhood gets that same opportunity. 3 or 4 meet and greets every year with your neighborhood and your people at one of the amenity centers. Thank you.
Our next response is from Don McDonald.
Wow, that one's been done to death. I mean, basically, if I lose, I lose. You lose. I've been on the 3 side of lots of votes. However, before you get there, as Andrew and others have alluded to, why don't you work toward consensus? I know that's old-fashioned. We don't like doing that in this country much anymore, but it really can be a good thing because we all, when it comes right down to it, basically want the same thing. We want what is best for this place that we call home and that we like or love or adore or are passionate about. We all want the same thing. It's just different ways of getting to it. So maybe we haven't discussed all the ways to get to where we need to go. And so I would always, and I think always have tried to at least work toward a consensus. Sometimes it's impossible. Sometimes there's intransigence or just dramatic differences of opinion. But if we can, try to find some semblance of a middle ground because it's usually there somewhere.
Thank you. Because of some shorter answers, we are ahead of schedule. I think this is a great opportunity to stretch our legs, stand up and get a drink of water. So I'm calling for a break at now, 5 minutes, so we'll come back at 7:12. Okay. Look at the.
That's a little precise.
I wouldn't expect it.
And how many seconds here?
So, if you put your questions in the box, then we'll collect them for the second half.
I used to go to Daily Minutes. Well, making sure she's home. They just call her.
I'm Jim.
Yeah. Thanks,
No. Oh, good. Thank you. I am a loudmouth. Fifteen here, 16, 17. It's the first step. Yeah, I'm the old guy. Very old guy, yeah. Yes, we had 5 years. The last time up.
Thanks for taking your seats. I have a request from several members of the community asked me to please speak into the microphone. There are several of you that they can't hear in the back. So just pull that microphone closer to your mouth and we'll be able to hear you because it is important. You want to be heard.
And I'm not looking just loud.
Here's the next question selected by candidates at, on the random generator responses, but you have 90 seconds. What specifically would you like to champion as a project or initiative during your term? And our first response comes from Mark Holderness.
Well, it's not a secret that I'm a fan of pickleball. I champion the Lot D project. I think that would have been a wonderful amenity for our town. If you take a look, pickleball is still a #1 growing sport in the United States. Recent statistic that I saw showed pickleball as a 65% search for new home communities. When people are looking for new homes, 65% are looking for communities with pickleball. I'm not saying I would champion pickleball above everything else. I don't want that to be my focus. But I think new amenities is important for our town. We have not, I think, done a new amenity since the soccer field was built, if I'm correct. But I haven't been here that long, so I couldn't tell you for sure. But we need new amenities. We need pickleball, basketball courts. I know there's a huge need for basketball courts. I know there is a desire of a community center. I think that should definitely be explored, although I don't know if that should be our #1 priority. I would focus on new amenities, but I also would, as mentioned in my opening statement, focus on maintenance and upkeep. There are things in this town that have to be fixed, bathrooms and other amenities that have to be brought up apart with newer communities. So that would be my focus.
Our next response comes from Carl Gilbert.
I think my main focus would be drawing back onto community. One of the big things that I think, as big as we keep getting and as many people as we get, we seem to, even though with all the events and everything that goes on here, we seem to lose a little bit of the community. We have so much, we've had some divisiveness here with, things like the Lot D project, where everyone got so heated that you had neighbors hating neighbors. That's not what our community was built on. We're built on the family. And that does include not only our young families, but our old families. I think the thing we've also lost is the idea of focusing on that we have a wide range of ages in our community. And there are things that we need to pull everyone back together. We also have the warring of the ages at this point. We have the older communities who goes, oh my God, the families are here. We have the young kids downtown. They're driving us crazy. They're walking, and then it's, we have the opposite to the young kids going, oh my God, the old people, they're walking. So, it's a thing of, I think we need to draw back to community, to bring everyone together. And by doing such things as the aging communities, the fields, there are so many things that all of our amenities that we do have can be used to bring everyone together. Thank you.
Our next response comes from Anthony Lopez.
I'd love to take the 90 seconds to try to combine 3 answers to 3 of the previous questions, right? What specifically would you like to champion? I would combine that with the question around, do we have all the right activities in the community? And we have lovely things going on in Celebration, lots of them, lots and lots of great stuff. I think we need to have the right amenities and the right facilities and state-of-the-art facilities to support those in the growing community. So I guess what I want to champion is having that master plan that allows us to have those amenities, and then community engagement. I think we've had some good ideas about how we can get greater community engagement. As a former military officer, I'm all in favor of paintball wars between neighborhoods? Joke. But I would like to answer one other question. The question that was also asked before was, what happens when there's a 5-3 vote? What's supposed to happen? I tell you what's supposed to happen. Ever since I was a cadet, I've learned about leadership principles and I've learned about team dynamics. And I ran corporations. When there's a 5-3 vote, the other 3 get on board and do what the 5 said was going to get done. You don't fight it. You have your chance to fight it. You're in the process of voting, when you're in your process of talking about it, when you're looking at the data, when you're debating the data. But when the vote is done, it's time to get aligned for the best of the community and make it happen. Otherwise, nothing happens. You know what we call that in America? Democrats and Republicans. We don't need that in the CROA board. We need to see collaborative effort, best decisions being made. I think you said it best. We all want the best of the community. But if I happen to be in the minority, I lose, I get on board and make it happen.
I've now got it on TV.
Our next response comes from Donna Beloso.
No one's talking.
Kind of going back to the previous question, I think we have wonderful events here in town. One thing I think we do miss, though, is the teen focus. And we have a lot of great teens in our community, and a lot of that would be something that as being a board member, I'd like to make that an initiative to include that group as well. I think they're kind of starting to have more teen events, but also respecting our committee members, respecting the work that they do that supports the board and supports the initiatives that we're working on, being respectful of their time, and also using them as a key resource to move our initiatives forward.
Our next response is from Sarah Work.
I would like to focus on the amenities. We have many amenities that are not up to par around the community, and I would like them all to be in the Island Village standard. I do live in Island Village, so full disclosure there. I know that there's a new pool and a new amenity center that's going to be put in with phase 2. I get asked all the time, why is the Island Village pool not heated? I don't know why it's not heated. There are gas lines everywhere within Island Village, though. I would like to explore having the Island Village pool heated so that the residents have an option at one of the newer pools. I've seen photos of some of the other bathroom amenities. Yikes. No, we can do better. We need to do better. This is a great community. And if the amenities are right, then we can also have the programming be appropriate. My son loves the kids' night out events held on by Parks and Recreation. He would go once a month. We could increase that frequency, bring more revenue in probably as well. So amenities, we need to get them up to standard and explore these questions. This grill in Island Village, that really bothers me that we can't use it. Admittedly, it really bothers me. Nobody I see is checking charcoal grills to make sure that the fire is out. Just saying. Thank you.
All right, I'd like to mention that question came from the audience, so thank you very much for your inputs. We're going to change it up again to another short answer question. And everyone will get 30 seconds to respond to this short answer. And we'll start over here with Sarah and go that way around. And you read the celebration charter and bylaws on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest. How familiar are you with these government documents?
I have skimmed, and my skimming admittedly is not that great. I will read them. My retention is very good. My memory is, I would say, very well. I will commit to reading them. I have signed off with them and read them when I was buying my house. I have not read them since. I did focus only on the Island Village part at that point.
Yes, I have read the charter and the bylaws and the new version or the version that we're currently using. One thing you'll learn about me though is if there's a question, I always revert back to the documentation. So even though I've read them, I would never quote them. I would always go back to the documentation to make sure that we're following it as written.
So when I worked here and worked for the executive director, because my job involved so many facets of celebration, I had my very own copy sitting at my desk of the bylaws and the charter. As a board member, I have my very own copy of the bylaws and the charter, and I have little tabs for the areas that I refer to most. I'm also pretty familiar with 720 too. That's the, for those of you who don't know, that's the state statute that applies to homeowners associations. Familiar enough where if I go on to the index, I can pretty much find what I'm looking for. So.
Yes, I have read the charter and the bylaws. However, I give myself only a 7 because I have not memorized them. I do know where to look to reference different areas in the bylaws, and I agree with Diana. It's important, even if you are very familiar, to go back and get the right wording. So if you're quoting something from the charter or bylaws, you're quoting it accurately.
I have read the charter and bylaws, and I have no conflicts of interest. So I'm very happy about that. That's all I needed to know.
Yes, I've read the charter and bylaws. Like everyone's here said, I can't memorize them. So the biggest thing to me is always knowing where you need to go to get the information. So we know what's in there. For most people, it's in Exhibit C rules. So making sure that you pay attention to what's listed in there. So always making sure you know where to reference, whether it's the charter or the bylaws or something else that you might need.
Yes, the bylaw and the charter it's wonderful guidelines for us, but there's some parts and too easy to interpret. But I confess, we discussed about that a couple of days ago. Sometimes you read and you have two different interpretations for the same thing. It's awesome because it's easy to understand, but when we have the problem right on your face and start reading the bylaws and say, okay, we can go to this way and we can also go to this way.
Have I read the recent one? No. Did I read the one when I was on the board when they rewrote it the time before that? Yeah. But I've referred to it and I will refer to it because I know where to find it. But do I want to read the whole thing again? Not really. I'll look it up.
I'm with you. Yes, I have read them both. And Albert Einstein was once asked, how come he doesn't know, smartest guy in the planet? Why don't you know your telephone number? He says, because I can look it up. Right. So I know where the information is, and if I need it, I can certainly access it.
I've read it twice in the last 2 months. I read a third of it today. It is dry, it is boring, it is legal, but we got to abide by it. And at work, I'm the guy that they hand the contracts to read before we hand it to the lawyers. So reading through legal documents is not fun, but we need to know where we stand as a board member.
Sure. Like everyone else on the board, I have not completely read the bylaws from front to back. I spent 25 years in the military reading regulations and instructions. So I know where they are, like everyone else. I look them up when I need to, and I reference what I need to for what I'm working on. So would I commit the entire book to heart? No, I would not. But like Tony and others, I would know where it is, and I know to reference it when I need it. I have focused.
I have reviewed them. I can honestly say I've not read them cover to cover. Like as most said, it's a wonderful legal document, and I'm sure if I wanted a great nap, I could go ahead and start that way. But again, on knowing where to get the information is always key. We'll review them should the board be on board.
I have read it, but not cover to cover. I put my experience at say a 7. I guess overall in understanding the bylaws and charter, they are there to be referenced, but also there's a wealth of experience in our community, whether it's people on the finance committee or prior board members. I would definitely rely on others to assist, or if there's something to look at, look into deeper.
Well, I would put mine maybe at a 4 or 5. I briefly glanced at them. To be completely transparent with all of you, I'm waiting to see what's going to happen with the elections. If you do select me as a candidate, I will make sure to know them front to back and be able to reference them when needed. Earlier, we were talking about what would happen with the votes. If you have a split board, there's a lot of really nice things as far as we would work together. What a lot of people don't understand is that there's a lot of personalities and egos to deal with, and you have to work with them, and you have to go with what's best for the group and the community.
All right, we're back to a general question. The responses are 90 seconds or less, and the random sequence generator selected the responses. What made you choose Celebration as your home, and has it lived up to your expectations? Our first response is Bill Long.
Oh, this is a fun question. I started coming down to Celebration in 2009 when my boss bought a townhouse over in Georgetown. I did not know this place existed, and I fell in love. My wife and I started a Disney Facebook group. We grew to 1.7 million Facebook fans. We were advising people on how to take trips to Disney. And one day we were down here and my wife said, let's look at houses. And I did the slow head turn to her and said, you want to do my dream? Absolutely. And by the end of that week, we put an offer in on a house in Artisan Park in 2017. Absolutely love Celebration. Can Celebration be a little bit better? Yes, everything can always be a little bit better, but I love this community. I love the talent in this community. There are some amazing residents in this community. There's some amazing skills in this community. So absolutely, it has lived up to my expectations, and I can't wait to see where we go next.
Our next response comes from Marco Messia.
How can I explain that? We love this little bubble. It's like we do for everybody else. It's our home. Celebration is charming. It's peaceful. We have an amazing community sense. Love the people. Look at this board. Look at this we have here. It's amazing. I live in Brazil for a long time. I also have spent some time in Portugal, Mexico, and California, Anaheim. And trust me, this is a piece of heaven. So we will fight for this. We want this better every single day. My family is here. My kids grow here, like I said. So we are being to every day wake up and do something better for our community. Being or not being on the board, we we know by names all these gentlemen here and ladies. So we are all not fighting, but we are looking for the same direction. This is the best for me. Thank you.
Our next response is from Sarah Work.
As I stated previously, I literally fought to live here in Celebration, Florida, to repatriate to the U.S. from Singapore with my son. When my brother tried to talk me into it, no, thank you. Celebration, Florida. I'm a Disney fan. I wanted to be close to the mouse. I love that when I live here, with seeing the charm throughout all the villages. When I walk my dog, I know my neighbors thanks to Jim putting together those meet and greets. I love the community events. Food Truck Friday, I get to meet people. I love that I only have to go down Celebration Boulevard or Celebration Avenue and my son can do 900 activities. We have so much to offer here. I love the fact that we can go to the pool, see friends. We go to Little League, we see friends. We go to soccer, we see friends. We may not go to school together, but we play together. And that was his concern when I did take him to private school. Will I still see my friends? Honey, you will still see your friends. Your friends are up and down the street. You will see them everywhere. The sense of community, one of the cornerstones, it has met my expectations. And as was said, everything can be better. Anytime you measure anything, it can be better. Can we limit spending? Yeah, let's measure it. Can we improve public events? Yeah, let's see who's coming. How many are coming? What are they paying? How much does it cost to put it on? So yeah, it's met my expectations, but I'm hopelessly optimistic for the future. And that's why I'm sitting here right now.
Our next response is from Anthony Lopez.
I grew up in Puerto Rico. I lived in every corner of the United States. In Europe, I've traveled the globe, career, and like all of you, the easiest way that I describe when somebody said, "Where do you live?" You said this, and I say, "Oh, I've been there. That's such a pretty town. Is that the one right next to Disney?" Yeah, you tell them the whole story. My grandchildren are here. That's why I live here. And the reason I'm sitting up here today is because we're losing some of the magic. And that's why everybody's up here, because we're trying to say we can't lose the magic, right? And I'm not talking about the Disney magic. I'm talking about our community magic. I'm talking about the beauty of our community. I'm talking about the safety of our community, the state of the art in terms of the technology that we're using in our community. All of it, right? I'm thinking about where is AJ and Maddie, who are going to school here, where are they going to grow up? Right here in Celebration, right? So why did I choose to live here? Because my daughter was living here. Why? Because I bought her a home here for her to live here, raise a community, and raise a family here. And then I moved back from Belgium, and I thought, well, I got to choose where to live. It was an easy choice. Celebration.
Our next response is from Diana Velasco.
I'm so glad I got to answer this one. We moved here from Michigan and didn't know a single soul in Florida. Got transferred here for my job at the time. We didn't know anyone here. And we wanted to move to a community where neighbors wanted to be neighbors. And I'm happy to say that it did live up to our expectations. From the first night my daughter trick-or-treated was our first night in Celebration back the year we moved in. So the other reason I wanted to move here is we've also moved from Michigan, and if you know anything about Michigan, property values did not hold their weight. We moved here knowing that Celebration was the type of community that it was a managed community where our property values would be protected, and it would be that type of community where we could raise our family, raise our daughter, and have a great investment for the money that we invested.
We'll move on to a different question, 90 seconds or less. How can residents' understanding of the role of the Governance Committee and the Architectural Review Committee be improved? Our first response is from Eric Huppert.
Well, this is a fun one to tackle. So I think the biggest thing for me is going back. The big thing for me is understanding, one of the pieces that I have been working with behind the scenes is there's been a lot of what I would refer to as selective enforcement of the rules as it comes to things like either covenants or from the Architectural Review Committee. It quite honestly scares the crap out of me that we are 2 years into our Grand Manners Agreement and we're now retraining our people on the covenants. That scares me. That should have been day one. And I get that there's reasons why that needs to happen, but I think that it's showing with the way that our residents feel about both the board and the management company today. And is that lacking of the customer service and the lacking of the education that we might need through that process. Look, at the end of the day, people want to follow the rules, right? People don't want to, have, a derelict vehicle sitting in front of their house. They want to be able to preserve and protect and enhance their homeowner value. That's why we're here to do that. I think the biggest thing for me is looking at ARC, looking at covenants, and making sure that, one, those committees understand what their roles are when we look at the rules that they're supposed to be enforcing. And then also, two, making so that we can educate the person that's trying to apply to do the right thing when they're coming into doing that. The person that's coming in to apply for something for ARC, in my opinion, is not who we should be going after. It's the person that just didn't do it in the first place. And they didn't want to go through the process to begin with.
Our next response is from James Pinot.
I actually applied to be on the ARC committee, but my 40 years in finance, I guess, put me on the finance committee. As far as I have a good friend on the covenants committee, and we talk a lot. There seems not to be a real connection between the ARC and the covenants committee. they need to get together and really go through everything. And I know they're making some changes to the covenants to, get up with the times, but it really needs to be improved. What I really don't understand is how the inspectors don't have software that when they go to a house, they can pull up on an iPad exactly what's been approved at that house. So they can look at it and say, oh, I don't have to take pictures of this house or anything else. I could just look at this and go, okay, they've already got that approved. They don't have that.
Our next response is Don McDonald.
Oh, covenants and ARC. Let's start with ARC. We don't have a town architect? What is wrong with this picture? You've had a town architect since day one. We need somebody who knows this community and the buildings and how they should look, and we need a whole lot of common sense going on. Things change over time, but covenants. I started with ARC because of covenants. I have always believed that covenants was way too adversarial, too darn mean. Those letters are scary. And they're usually for relatively small things that could be handled, I think, a lot better, a lot differently. I also think that maybe you just actually talk to people. It's kind of cool. You don't just send them a letter. You call them and say, hey, by the way. But what happens is that we go after the little stuff because it's easy. And the big stuff gets ignored. For many years, and this was way before Grand Manners, we had neighbors next to us who literally had cars up on blocks in their yard on Golf Park. They had tires in the back of the place, and Covenants was afraid to do anything because these people wouldn't do anything about it. So what do? We go after the low-hanging fruit. The other thing is celebration. The Covenants people should really be going after small things when we've got our own big things that we're not fixing. There are parts of this town that look awful. And to say you got to fix your yard when we're not fixing our yard?
Our next response comes from Cindy Swisher.
So I am the liaison with the Covenants Committee. So this is kind of near and dear to my heart. Last year around this time, we were reviewing the different committee resolutions. And in doing that, I realized that according to the charter, the ARC committee and Covenants is supposed to be meeting on a regular basis. And as far as I can remember, that has never happened. So it happens now. They've had two meetings, I think. And they're working together on redoing the guidelines. But it's a struggle, because I don't know that they necessarily realize that part of their job is to act, especially in covenants, is to act as the advocate for the homeowner, and the same thing with the ARC committee. Every once in a while an appeal comes before the board. There was one recently where the ARC committee didn't like the color of the door. It doesn't specify in the guidelines what it just says to match the house. The people in this house thought that this door would look great in their house, but it was turned down. It's like, why? We're
on to a new question. 90 seconds. What is your thought process for evaluating the financial and operational implications of new capital projects proposed for celebration?
Repeat that one more time, Jerry?
Sure. What is your thought process for evaluating the financial and operational implications of new capital projects proposed for celebration? Our first response comes from Ernesto.
Sorry, one more time. Would you repeat the last part?
Sure. Yeah. What is your thought process for evaluating the financial and operational implications of new capital projects that are proposed for celebration?
It sounds like from the questions that we're asking and from conversations about the covenants, sounds like the committees are very siloed. It sounds like there's no accountability. It sounds like things are not getting done. So as far as new projects, one of the earlier questions was, what would be your number one thing to do? Is finish up what the master board has already recommended, finish up the projects that we need to get done here, and getting that done. And as far as evaluating capital new projects, again, finishing up what we have right now and using the space that we have that we don't use, and it just sounds like it's very siloed. There needs to be more communication and accountability, and it doesn't sound like that is happening. As far as for capital projects, new projects, when I was at the old HOA, there was they wanted to have a new driveway, which was going to be very expensive. After working together, seeing what the numbers were, seeing what we had in the reserves, seeing what we had in the budget, we were able to approve it, and of course, made it look a lot nicer. But just being accountable and being wise with your money, knowing where your HOA money is going and what we're using it for. I think that's common sense.
The next response is right next door with Andrew.
Yeah, the thought process would start with, is this truly what the community wants? Whatever the new project is it what we should be building? If it is, then looking at what today's expenses are versus what would be the ongoing maintenance for it. As far as the initial outlays, would you look at the cash option, or would we look at taking out some kind of loan to make sure it's appropriate for building that in the time period we're looking to have that amenity or project completed? On the ongoing basis, looking at what that cash flow would look like regarding whether we have memberships for different groups that would use it, or housing events, if it's something to do that we would have weddings there, looking at what those revenues or expected revenues would be to offset the operations and the cost of whether it's maintenance from lawn and irrigation, or if it's more of operations from people serving the community, or I guess the last piece of it to try to mitigate expenses would be, is there some type of sponsorship opportunity? Is there some group within Celebration or in Florida that would want to work with us to complete that project? That would be another alternative as well.
Our next response comes from Mark Holders.
I think I would have to say that you can start the thought process with, is this something that's really going to benefit our community? Not solely is this something the community wants, because as many people we have live in this community, you'll have that many ideas of what we really want. I know the master planning group and the previous master plan the community center. Everyone in the community said that's what they want. So as an example, I would say, okay, great, let's do it. What's it going to cost? And not what's it going to cost to build, but what's it going to cost the staff? What's it going to cost as far as space and future maintenance and upkeep? So as a thought process, I think we need to fully understand 10, 20-year scope of a project before we go, hey, let's move into it. Especially something like the community center. As much as I think we need it, I think something we need to look at is, can that be satisfied by the existing amenities that we have before we sink into a mega community center? Pickleball, I think, is a great project. We could debate all day long on whether I thought pickleball was too big or too small. But those guys did a lot of work in planning out 10, 15 years down the road of what they thought it was going to cost this community and presented that to the board. I know a lot of people disagreed with their numbers and we debated that, but they put a lot of work in it. I need to make sure we put that kind of project work into every project. So we understand the future cost and all the implications before we say, hey, let's have it.
Our next response is from Katie Schulman.
Okay. So first, I would do my own due diligence, and then I would ask the finance committee for their recommendation, and then collaborate with board members to discuss what it is that we should do to move forward.
The next response goes to Carl Furry.
Goes back to the simple principles. Financial. Do the numbers work? Is something actually going to happen? Or are we looking at something that somebody's going, hey, we want to spend $2 million. And we're like, not $2 million. So why are we even looking at this? Operational wise, again, goes back to the numbers. Can we sustain with the finances that we have or the future finances? A big thing we seem to do is again, look towards what new can we do, as the community has so much that needs to be fixed, retro fixed, go backwards to kind of fix to move forward. Yeah, so thank you.
Before closing statements, we have time for an audience question. So I'll give you 1 minute for this response, and this will go for everyone. We'll start, this time we'll start in the middle with Eric and go around this way. If you do not get elected to the CROA board, how will you choose to serve your community if not elected?
It's a good question. My very caring and understanding wife quite honestly told me that if you're going to go to the damn meetings anyway, you might as well run. And so that's probably why I'm still going to be here. There's things that I want to do that I see that I want to take action on. And this happened the first time when I ran. First time I ran for CROA, I didn't get elected. And I went back, and at the time I joined the communications committee. We had a communications committee at that time. And I went ahead and joined that. So unfortunately for some people, I'm not going anywhere because I've been able to volunteer my time for that. So I'd still remain active no matter what, but it just depends on what capacity.
I've enjoyed my time on both the finance and the master planning advisory group, and I would stay with them and just try and finish it out. With the master planning advisory group, just so everybody knows, there will be a survey coming out again. I will also say that I think it's the last 3 master planning groups. Nothing has been done based upon that, other than one that was about 20 years ago. So hopefully this time something will happen.
Thank you. If not elected, I've already committed to continue serving the community the best I can by attending every board meeting, every joint workshop, and CROA workshop in order to help represent the residents that are unable to make the time to attend meetings due to schedule conflicts. So either way, I feel like my voice might be stronger at the board level, but I won't stop sending emails. I won't stop doing public requests of information. I won't stop seeking answers for residents. Thank you.
I thought long and hard about whether or not I was going to run again. So if I'm not elected, I will probably take a break. I'll probably just spend a couple, 3 months just kind of, and then get back involved. I don't know, what committee or, start back going to the board meetings, which I probably, that's become a habit. So I don't think I'll be able to turn that off completely. So I'll probably still go online and watch them and, see how everything's going. But I'll still be involved. I have been for, all these 20 years. I'll continue to be. So.
One of the things I would commit to doing is hold the new board accountable for their commitment and be involved as a resident in communication. I probably would put in an application to join the committee. I really enjoyed my time on Covenants Committee. I feel like it was a good chance to educate our residents as to what the covenants mean in our town. So I'd probably put in an application for that as well and still remain active in the organizations in town.
If not elected, as I mentioned, I still have my name in the hat. If there's anything that happens with the master plan group, there's a spot available. Perhaps they'll still consider my application. Looking at committee work as well. I'll probably still be in the back of the room with my son, whether he likes it or not, at the board meetings. Right now he's in the hallway. I've been updated. I am active to an extent on social media. I read what's going on in the porches. I do ping various board members when I have questions or feedback or input, or if I hear something that's not quite right, just to see whether I'm hearing it the same way they are. So I'm not going away. I built my house. My son says he's going to take it over when he's older and I'll be in an apartment somewhere. I don't think that's going to happen. I will be still here.
I think that, I hope that by now, after listening to us and listening to me, on my opinions, you can tell how passionate I am about this. Again, it sounds like everybody is very silent, and I would like to stop that. So if it's me, if I don't get your vote, my commitment is to be part of that, be part of another committee and be able to help the community that way. What I want everybody to keep in mind is that this is these positions, 3 years. So whatever your pick is, 3 years. Okay. So if you've already had experiences where things are not getting done, 3 years of this. Thank you.
So regarding what I do, I would continue to participate in workshops and board meetings. I really would focus on the master plan advisory group and work with them and help them with various input or expertise that I have to assist them in any way that they could. If an opportunity did open up for that group, I would put my hat in the ring again. I put it in originally the first time, but if it works out the second time, so be it. If that's not an opportunity, I would strongly consider joining a committee, whether that's the finance committee or one other.
Should I not be elected, I probably will continue on then with the South Village Town Home Service Area Committee, and helping my neighbors be informed as best as possible. Beyond that, probably look to get on the Technology Committee. That's a background of mine. Also, I've been doing that for over 20 years. Those are my two.
I'd have to say, if I'm not elected, as I said before, I've not been involved as I should be, so I intend to get more involved. Over the last year, the behavior that I've seen in the town has caused me to sit up and pay more attention to what's going on, which is why I'm sitting here today. So if I'm not elected, I will continue to be involved. I'll continue to attend the meetings. Because you can't ignore me if I'm sitting in a room staring at you. So that's why I will be ensuring that all the voices are heard from everyone in town and the board understands what the people and the owners want.
If I'm not elected, I would love to continue to serve on the technology committee. I'm a tech geek at heart, and so I love that topic and love to bring my years of experience to that. And I'm really interested in the covenants committee because it sounds like there's a lot of heat in the covenants department, and it would be good to get that experience and learn what are the hot topics in that department, though I think we all know some of them.
I want to serve, and I hope I get a chance to serve, and I hope you give me a chance to serve. If I'm so I will find a way to serve, and one way I can serve is by just getting to know everybody, let everybody get to know me, what skills I have, and I make those skills available to the board in any which way they think I can serve. But if I'm not elected, my first stop will be to the town tavern to talk to the bartender. Get over it first. You can tell I like to use a little humor, but there is a serious side to me, as you can probably tell as well. Here's what I will not do if I'm not elected. I won't become a cynic. I won't become a critic. And I won't be, look, you're either a part of the solution or you're a part of the problem. And I refuse to be a part of the problem. So I think it's time for me to get more involved, just like all of us. And this is one way to do it. There are many other ways to do it in the community. If you give me a chance to do it, I'll do it. If not, I'll find another way to do it.
My lovely wife, Debbie, has always told me to remain humble. So, I've never lost an election here in town. So if I lose, I guess we'll move. Too sad. No, actually, I came up with an idea during the community. I'm showing you at the bar after. Yeah. I had an idea during the communication thing. I will volunteer my time to the board and to do a celebration podcast where we would actually have conversations. Doesn't that sound like fun? There you go. So don't vote for me. We'll get a podcast. Or we might get one anyway. Is that humble, Debbie? Thank you.
I think he did.
I think it's just.
One thing we don't
the
have.
I
podcast
did not
is
drop
great.
out. Don't do
Just
that.
for podcast, yeah.
If I'm not be elected, it happened in 2021. I lost for 8 votes.
Is that all?
Yes,
Oh,
8 votes. The city. If I'll be elected, I will keep serving and being volunteer my time. Right now, I'm doing the Parks and Rec and the PAG and keep doing my partner program with the town, what I love to. It's so no disappointment, no fights, no regrets. I believe that we are all here to serve, and all 4 here have the same thoughts and the same target. So any one of us is be elected for the board chair that we have would be great for celebration.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for closing statements. We will start on this side with Sarah and go around since opening statements were made in the opposite direction. Now, I'd like to we have time. I'll give 90 seconds for a closing statement. Remember, you can talk about some topics that you weren't able to discuss in the previous question because the random sequence generator didn't come up with your name. So use your 90 seconds wisely for 90 seconds each, and we'll start with Sam.
A lot of you I know, a lot of you I don't know, and I appreciate you all coming out to hear from me and from the rest of the candidates during this election, because an engaged community is a better community. Me, I'm a naturally skeptic. I think when anyone tells me anything, I always kind of look behind them to see who's helping them deliver me the message. I'm a very critical thinker. I really am reasonable, but pragmatic and optimistic. I see a lot of things. I'm the first, if you show me something, to find all the errors. I'm the first to find all the problems in a draft, red pen it out. But I'm also the first to try and help you fix it without letting you know and letting everyone else know that it needs to be fixed. I'll go behind the scenes a little bit and help you. I don't need to knock your crown off to make me look better. I think it does. There's no ego. It's just working towards a better celebration. And I think using some of my business background, my experience with governance, risk and compliance and financial focus, I'm very, very frugal, even though I like to spend. But I think in consulting, I've been used to getting a Christmas list of things that people want, but you can't have everything that you want. There's an opportunity cost to going a certain way. There's costs associated with going a different way. And we need to make sure we are fiscally responsible in this community. We can't have everything we want.
Let me interrupt here, please. The people that are watching online through this camera, they see little faces about this big. So once again, I'd like you to mention your first and last name before your closing statement so everyone will know who it is, and I'll wrap it up with you.
Okay. And I'm Sarah Worth in Island Village. Thank you.
I'm Diana Vasello, and I live in South Village. I am thrilled to say that there are some really smart, intelligent, committed people sitting at this table. There is a lot of work to be done in the next 3-year term. I'm thrilled that we have this many people who want to serve. We live in a great place and with great potential, but we are on the cusp of major change. When 4 positions on a board of 7 are changing, this is the time that we either make change or we stay stagnant and we don't move forward. So I feel that we need to choose a group of 4 people that can commit to the time, their resources, their commitment to the community to move forward in a strategic way that protects our investment, that also moves us forward and continues to create the community that we all moved here for. That requires financial responsibility and a commitment to grow the community. I think we all know what the time commitment is that we are stepping up to be part of it. If you don't know that, it's a lot of time commitment to step up to be a part of this board. but it has to be done, and there's a lot of great talent here, and I look forward to serving if I am so chosen.
Cindy Swisher again. So Diana's right. This is I don't think there's anything ever happened like this before. We have 3 remaining board members. Celia's been on the board for 3 years, and the other 2 were just elected last March. I'm unique because I worked for the management company, so I see their side. We need somebody, in my opinion, who knows some of the history of the town. I'm all for change, but there are also processes in place. I don't believe in change just for the sake of changing. Can we do things better? Sure. But you don't have to, you can do it gradually. You don't have to upset the apple cart and start from scratch. I'm right with you, Don. This building is an embarrassment. And what happened was analysis paralysis. We had somebody come in and said, here's, you can fix this part of the building. You can add 3 stories in the back there because you can't build a second story here. While that's being built, then the people move over there, then you fix this. In the meantime, you figure out what goes in this building and you're done. The other alternative is knock it down. The longer this building stays unrepaired, and it's been over a year, the worse it's going to get. And, it is an embarrassment, but vote for me.
Katie Schultman. However, in closing tonight, I don't want to make this about me. I want to make it about the community. Celebration has had so many milestones since its official groundbreaking. We have grown as a community in so many ways. I am encouraged being here tonight among neighbors who all share a common goal to see Celebration prosper. Together, let's make this a milestone election. Encourage your neighbors to vote. The easiest way is online. As always, message me if you have any questions about voting or anything else. And together, let's serve Celebration. Thank you.
If you asked me 5 years ago if I would be here.
Your name?
Oh, Jim Pinot, that's right. Yeah, I live in Island Village. Yes, thank you. Like I started off, excuse me. I started all of this because I moved to Island Village and represent our residents and saw what we could do as residents to make change and get things done in Island Village that would never have gotten done if we didn't have the support of our community there. And I would really like to see that spread across the whole town of Celebration. So yes, 5 years ago, I didn't think I'd be here. I am. And thank you all for sitting here and listening to us. I really appreciate that as well.
Eric Opegard. I know we probably had a lot of questions that folks didn't get to. You can reach out to me. Obviously, my contact information, like everyone else's, is available online. You can reach out to me at eric@CROA.org. I'd like to also just thank Gary for being here. This is not an easy undertaking with this number of people, so that's very important. And I also want to thank management for setting everything up here, as well as the Celebration Foundation, which is why we have some of the technology in this room to be able to stream some of the things that we have. It's come leaps and bounds since I was previously on the board. I think the biggest thing that I want to echo is make sure that you're active in this election. Make sure that you're paying attention to what people are saying, and make sure that you're seeing where things are coming from and if they're aligning with your values. And if they're not, ask them why. It's not going to hurt. As you can tell, no one up here is going to bite. We're going to be able to either answer questions. We all have different opinions, but we're all trying to get to the same end result, which I think is building that positive community and making sure that we're taking care of things. One of the questions that I didn't get to answer, one of the things that I felt that was most important for me, and I think it's that customer service aspect, is I'll echo again, is what I think is the crux of a lot of things going on. Customer service between board members and directors, the way they're behaving at meetings, customer service between our management company and our residents, and customer service of our committees that are looking at all the different ways that we need to actually behave and make this place the great place that it is to live. So I think we need to make sure that we focus on that, and feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.
Marco Mesa from Carlisle South. I believe 3 time president of Others HOA, vice president of Carlisle, gave me some experience along these 10 years here. So working with multiples community social management helped me to bring this to celebration. So in the end of the day, it's all about the budget. It's all about, we want to do this or that, but it's all about the budget. And our reserve study shows me that we are before the 2019. 2019, we have a drastically changed the world, change the financial, change everything that we know about budget. So we're still working with the 2019, I believe, or before that, reserve study. And this is something that we need to update, and I will help brand managers or the CCDD to working together like a Celebration United. I believe this is the best for us. This is my opinion. And thank you, John. And having this update about reserve study, we can plan better. Fix this building, Civic Corridor Fields, Lot B, Lot E. Now Lot E is a new one that Master Plan Advisory is working for, because we just lost the field on the side. We have the county the Osceola County is under their management now. They're going to facilitate Tron to do that. So everything's about budget for us. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Don McDonald, Main Village. I'm going to take the question that I didn't get to answer, the one about why I moved here. My wife and I chose this place because we believed it was going to be the best possible place to raise 4 incredible kids. All 4 of those kids attended, well, 3 attended this building, then went on to the K-12. 1 graduated from the K-12. The others went on to the high school. My youngest graduated from the high school in the IB program. And this speaks volumes about why this town is so special, because part of it was, why is this town so special? This gentleman right next to me has a son who was taught 4th grade by my youngest daughter at the Celebration K-8. She started Celebration K-8 in kindergarten. And years later, she taught 4th grade at Celebration K-8. This is possibly the best community from every aspect in America. Do we disagree with each other? Absolutely. Are we going to continue to? Ain't no doubt about it. But can we make it a lot better? Yeah, we can. By getting some of the things done that must be done now, putting other things to the side, and kind of coming together. Thanks.
My name is Anthony Lopez again, Tom Lopez. Thank you for taking the time to do what we're all doing tonight, because I'm doing the same thing. I'm trying to figure out who I'm going to vote for. I'm not even sure I'm going to vote for myself just yet. Try to decide that. But you came here to get to know us a little bit better, and I appreciate you taking the time to do that. Here's what you get with me. You get an experienced business leader. I understand governance. I've been on a number of boards, corporate, private, and non-for-profit. I'm data-driven, logical thinker, independent thinker. I will make decisions that I believe are in the best interest of our community, with that being paramount. Not my personal bias, just what the data shows and what is in the best interest of the community. I'm collaborative and I'm a team player. And when I say that, I mean it, as I said before. You know, once a decision is made, we get behind it and we support it and we make it happen as a community. Right? I worry more about alignment than I do about agreement. We try to get an agreement. We're never going to get 7 cats to agree. We have to be aligned on what we're trying to do, and then we can all agree that there are different ways to get there. Most importantly, I'm a servant leader. That's why I served as a military officer. That's why I've served in the companies that I have. And if I get a chance to serve here, I'll do the same to the best of my ability. So thank you for listening, and let's see what happens.
Bill Long, Artisan Park. I want to thank everyone for taking their time to participate in local government. That's what we're doing here. Thank you for those of you online and those of you that are going to watch the playback. The skills and talents in this community are absolutely amazing. And the people represented on this board who have served for many, many years, thank you. Thank you for your service. We really appreciate it. I've worked on boards, nonprofit, in corporations, and senior management of corporations. And that question about what happens when the board has a 4-3 vote on a 7-member board or a 5-2 vote. Well, what you do is you get on board with the majority. If you still believe passionately in that idea, you bring it up a year from now, but you get on board and you do your part. Drama on a board wastes energy, and time and energy is precious, and you got to keep things moving ahead. The board is here to lead and say yes to the great ideas brought to the community. What we're asked about, what would our idea be about looking at things from a financial perspective? My first question would be, what does this do to my quarterly assessment? I think we all think about our pocketbooks. I know Island Village, their budget this year, I think was proposed to go up 16% in their quarterly assessments. That's a nice little change. I commit to listening to the residents, and I commit to seeking consensus and doing my part for low drama on the board if you elect.
Mark Holderness, I'm in Roseville Corner, as we like to call it, artisan adjacent. Close enough to see the clubhouse, but not close enough to get in it. I'd like to start with, go back to the question of why I live in Celebration. I first saw Celebration, I want to say it was 2016, might have been 2015. I was on a Disney trip and had to pause my trip for a dialysis session there on Celebration Boulevard. And our friends have a house in Spring Park, and they said, you told my wife, you got to come see it. So she went and saw their house. She came and got me. We drove down the tree-lined streets. So I got to tell you, after being in the Air Force for 23 years, traveling around the world, always wanted to live in a place that had tree-lined streets. And we both looked at each other, and the first thing we said was, this is home. First town I've ever lived in my entire life that felt like home. So that's why we moved here. It was our dream to move here. It was our dream to retire here. We bought a house, and we've been here since 2020, and I absolutely love this town. I think my years in the military as a program manager will help this board a lot. I think it will help this town a lot. I want to see us grow new amenities while we focus on fixing the amenities we have. Obviously, it doesn't do us any good to build a community center or pickleball courts or anything else if we don't have the infrastructure to take care of them and maintain them. So that's my goal as I get elected as a board member. So all I can ask you to do is please mark your vote for Holderness. Thank you.
Carl Fury, South Village. I'm going to run back to a question of the why you moved here also. Much like most husbands, because my wife, she said so. But no, their family was here. They were in the lottery towards the very beginning. Since to that point, I turned around and I wanted to be with her. So Celebration was the place to be. Since then, we've raised both our daughters. They were both born in Celebration Hospital. They both attended the CK8. Most of my wife's family had attended the K-12 when it was a K-12 down to the K-8, and then continued on to the high school where my older daughter is at the moment. My younger one is here at the middle school still, or K-8, I hate to call it middle school. We had seen our townhouse way before we could ever afford it, and then came the time when we were able to afford it. It just happened to be on sale. And that day was the day that the agent had said that the owner was ready to go. They wanted to buy it. They wanted to sell that. So we put our offer in and we got it that night. That's my brief history. Now, moving forward, my goal here as a board member would be bring back accountability. It's the holding people's feet to the fire. Unfortunately, we seem to have lost a little bit of that. Not that that isn't anywhere. Common sense. Just if it makes sense, let's do it. If it doesn't make sense, why are we doing it? Why are we fighting? Thank you very much.
Andrew DeGanzik, Artisan Park. Celebration homeowners have plenty of options this year. Which 4 candidates to vote for? The candidate pool is as talented and deep of a group I think we've ever had. If elected, I can promise you the 2 following things. First is, if I'm elected by homeowners for homeowners. You come first. I need to understand what homeowners want so that I can fulfill my job on the board to represent you to your fullest. Second, Grant Manners works for the board. The CROA board is the manager and Grant Manners is subordinate. I will do what I can with Grant Manners to improve their overall performance and set them up success. A successful management company is a successful celebration for us. I am volunteering my skills and talents for the betterment of our community. I look to restore stability, professionalism, and direction to the board that homeowners are aware of. While I would like to be everyone's top pick on the ballot, I hope I'm already your top 4. The board has a lot of ground to catch up on, and I'm ready to serve our community alongside the existing board members and the ones you choose to elect. Thank you.
So going back again to the question of why we chose here. It seems like a lifetime ago, but I did the college program with Disney. And I remember coming out here and just falling in love with the community, falling in love with the idea of what this was. And when we started looking at houses back in 2008, we couldn't afford to live here. So that's the main reason why we didn't. We come here every other weekend. We have a ton of friends that live here. And once the opportunity was there, we jumped on it. It seemed to work perfectly where we were selling our house and we were moving in. Oh, and I'm sorry, Ernesto Velez, North Village. And again, everybody on the board, if I had half of the people here that are committed as what they're saying to you right now, I would have gotten so much more done in my own community. My goal is to give back. That's what I want to do. I don't want to run for this, so my name's online and I can get bad emails, but bad emails will come, bad comments will come, and I'm okay with that. It's about making changes, and this is referred to as a bubble, as an idea, and I want to keep it that way, improve on what we have, finish what they started, and maintain that, and keep it going as long as possible. Thank you for your vote. Thank you for your vote.
I want to thank the candidates for their participation and their honest answers, truthful answers. They deserve, of course, our support. So thank you very much for your volunteering. Also, thank you for the audience here and your questions. And the audience that come along. And especially thank you for the management staff and the logistics to put this all together that works so smoothly. We will see you hopefully at the meet and greet on Thursday, February 8th. And if you wanted to ask questions of your candidates, that's a perfect time to do it. This concludes our CROA candidate board forum.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.